Chapter 3. The Individualistic Understanding of Divinity. The individualist believes that all men and women are of divine hereditary right, being that they are all the sons and daughters of God. First shall be defined the individualist's understanding of divinity, and secondly, how the individualist applies this understanding to existence. The individualist believes in the unity of energy understood using reason and direct experience. It is proven that no matter how far you break down an atom, or no matter how far one looks into the heavens, that no definitive end has as yet been found in either of them, and therefore to date they remain infinite in breadth from the microscopic to the macroscopic. Thus, this entire collection of infinity can be called the universe. In other words, one complete whole, or literally, the one song. Una, one, verse, song. One massive machine whose parts work together in harmony and perfection to one end. The individualist remembers this truth as infinity is equal to one. Also, the individualist recognizes the fact that each individual has a consciousness whose exact location cannot be found within the body and whose exact nature cannot be agreed upon. Whether it is the result of numerous biochemical interactions or in fact a spirit from some realm unprovable, it matters not. The fact is that there is a consciousness. It is also a fact that animals possess one, plants to a lesser degree, and even particles themselves to a very basic degree, as quantum mechanics is now unveiling. Thus, all things are conscious. Therefore, if all is equal to one, then the sum total of all consciousness is one gigantic consciousness. It is a fact that all matter is composed of energy, and the smaller it is broken down, the simpler and more like pure energy it becomes. Using the above reasoning that all things are conscious to a lesser degree, and as one begins to divide them, they become a pure form of energy of increasing simplicity, one can conclude that the smallest division will be simultaneously the purest energy and the most basic form of consciousness, earning the title, pure consciousness, by the individualists. It is the smallest building block upon which all more complex and less pure energy assembles. Therefore, all things are composed of the pure consciousness. Thus, the sum total of infinity is one specific consciousness. Using the above reasoning and the fact that consciousness is what makes one a being, we elaborate by stating that the above one consciousness is therefore one being. The individualists therefore believe that there is only one being, and this being has divided itself infinitely to experience itself through itself. Therefore, two individuals speaking to each other are merely the same being communicating to itself. This one being can be given any label you desire: the One, the Infinite, Cosmic Consciousness, the Source, the Great Spirit, God, or any other name you desire, for no matter what you label the limitless infinite, it remains the limitless infinite. For familiar purposes, the word God shall be used in this document hereafter. It must be realized that the above reasoning deals with strictly the material world and the findings therein. However, the individualist further believes in the likelihood of many other worlds, planes, realms, dimensions, etc., in higher and lower vibratory frequencies other than the model above. Yet if ever proven, it is certain that they will overlap this same model, being only further aspects of the one being, simply with different rates of vibration. These dimensions will likewise be infinite in number, frequency, and individual breadth, just as the above model, all superimposed over the one, thus creating an infinity of mind-numbing proportions and utterly inconceivable by the waking consciousness. This immensity undoubtedly creates a feeling of insignificance and alienation. The individualist quickly realizes that God is all things and therefore is all around them and within them, permeating all things at all times. Therefore one is never alone. Accompanied by the fact that God is all-knowing, one then realizes one is meant to be wherever one may be, successfully annihilating the feeling of being lost and the feeling of insignificance. The nature of infinity is simultaneously simple and complex. This generates all the philosophical arguments throughout time. By the above reasoning, one can see that the atheist is right. God is not. The monotheist is right. God is one. And the pantheist is right. God is multiplicity, etc. Simply all beliefs are right because God is all, even nothing, even man, even an atom, even all atoms. Yet its complete form is the immense, complex sum total of infinity, which is simply one. There is not enough deep contemplation of this infinity in these sad times to pull man away from their debased material obsessions. Most modern religions either directly or indirectly confound their followers by telling them what to believe instead of encouraging them to find out for themselves the truths of nature by deep contemplation of infinity, which is God. This leads to all religious problems we have today, the I am right and you are wrong syndrome of the sadly blind people unaware of the simple meaning of infinity, which God is. It is this simple. God has created all things and loves all things unconditionally and is all things. God is not separate from the creation. God is the creation. And there is only one thing, and that one thing is God. Otherwise, God is not infinite. Human beings are blinded by this incomprehensibly huge yet simple truth and see only the illusion of separateness. This lack of understanding and the all-inclusive nature of infinity has led to the ignorant religious wars of today. People who fight over their own belief are seeing an incomplete picture of infinity and are insulting the colossal and all-encompassing nature of their God with their small, closed minds. They are blinded by ignorance, which the individualist calls the illusion of separation, being that they cannot see the unity of all things described above. This sparks arguments and a desire to be correct within argument, which is a fear of the unknown, because no one but God knows truly what is correct. This fear creates the need for one to surround oneself with those who think alike, thus gaining the feeling of security and being correct. Thus are formed large opposing groups whose collective fear now reverberates repulsively against each other, because unity attracts and separation repels. War of various degrees erupts. Thus, the individualists believe that there is only one universal system. All else is limited, profane bastardization dividing mankind. For these reasons, the individualist is wary of those of faint praise. They who simply believe a God exists but think no further into it, allowing themselves to be told what it is and how to act by others of the above nature, pulling them into one group or another, poised to pounce into war. The only instruction the individualist obeys is one's own consciousness and not any other's. The voice which speaks to the heart is the voice of God, and the most important holy book to study is the infinite book of the universe, where the creator of all has presented all the details of its handiwork directly to the observer, from the hearts of men to the hearts of sons. To be studied with unceasing fervor and diligence by every individualist. By this method, the devout individualist is assured that he will in fact not only believe in God, but personally communicate with it as a worthy instrument upon earth. Experiencing God, not just being hollowly told about God second, third, or fourth hand. This is the flaw of many modern religions. The lack of education on how to truly commune with their Creator. They teach little or nothing of the sacred languages or meditation techniques to bring one closer to God, or to know firsthand their Creator, and to achieve true illumination. Instead, all of that is veiled, and the people are told what to believe. This is a controlling device and a blaspheme. The individualist is strongly encouraged to study all religions and discern for oneself the same fundamental message underlying all of them, by listening only to one's heart and not to any other. For from there speaketh the unconditional love and wisdom of the infinite, which will serve only to guide one to illumination, and not to confusion, ignorance, or bias. Humans spend their lives reading over these religious documents written by men attempting to interpret ink and paper, while neglecting study of the most ancient text written in light and life, which is the very natural world they live in, the creation itself, and the human temple in which they dwell, both written and created by God, not man. Each prophet interpreted the creation for themselves, and encouraged man to interpret it for himself. Yet man worshipped the prophet and his interpretation instead of interpreting all things for themselves. Even Buddha, recognized in various religions as a prophet, rejected the infallibility of accepted scripture and said, "Teachings should not be accepted unless they are borne out by our experience and are praised by the wise." The individualist believes that within this pan of the infinite, this unity, in comparison to it, one has no significant power or will whatsoever. Everything that happens is because of God. You, the consciousness, are merely a witness to the works of God. The sum total of all the witnesses is the complete consciousness of God. Thus, each consciousness is a tiny spark of God, an exact reflection of the Creator, but on an infinitely smaller scale. Thus, the individualists believe that no idea is generated by the human mind. It is received from the divine. The ideas already existed in the mind of God, who is the timeless all. By that very statement, it is clearly seen that the idea is God's alone. The idea itself is simply energy, light from, of God. It is God because there is only God. Thus all things are made of the fabric of its body, even an idea. The reception of the idea is an experience, an awareness of a certain aspect, no matter how brief, of the infinite. This is why no idea can be owned. One may deceive oneself into thinking how strong one is in mind or body, or in the bright idea one had, when it was all given to that one. For one can create nothing on one's own. Only by cooperation does God bestow its gifts upon one the more one tries to act as it, a balanced, infinite creator. By attempting to perfect oneself, one will be granted perfection to the degree equal to one's work expended towards that goal. The lack of thoroughly taught and understood practical spiritualism applicable to every hour of life which yields real results, coupled with the aimless, monotonous, materialistic world, has contributed greatly to the present and growing lack of direction, purpose, incentive, and true contentment of mankind. What separates man from animal is not the ability to reason or the possession of intellectual faculties. It is the ability to contemplate the divine. By taking away spiritualism, man is reduced to an animal. No true fulfillment, satisfaction, contentment, or love can be had. Man then uses lusts, drugs, and other hollow physical pleasures as a substitute to fill this void to no avail. This is the very reason for much of this modern world's misery, drug use, lustful relationships, lacking any true love, divorce, and many sad lost souls engaging in countless other practices of depravity. These activities only serve to increase the thickening black shroud encloaking the earth. Submerged in lusts, man does not think clearly or at any degree beyond the animal mind. Materialism benefits threefold by this condition. 1. Man breeds like the beasts and creates many children raised unintelligently. Thus they become feeble hosts for the machine to feed upon, incapable of deducing their escape. 2. With the higher mind blotted out, man is unable to contemplate the nature and reason of his situation or any method of escape therefrom, and is easily convinced into acceptance. 3. The lusts of the animal mind are unquenchable, desires which spawn countless niche markets and black markets eagerly run and harvested by aspiring materialists.